Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to day one of the mini series here, in which we're talking about hypnotherapy. And on the previous video, I was just doing an introduction of who I am and what I do, but also I just wanted to set the stage as far as on what we're going to be talking about. So in this segment for day number one, we're going to go ahead and talk about two things. Number one, what is hypnotherapy and how it can be beneficial? And also two, some of the myths and misconceptions that are definitely out there in terms of hypnotherapy. And by the way, with this mini series, it's going to be very short, sweet, and brief to the point. But if you want to find out more on how this can benefit you, of course, by all means, please feel free to reach out to me or message me as well, and we can have a more thorough conversation and see if it'll be a mutual fit. So with that being said, what is hypnotherapy? Before I even get into that, I want to explain to you all on what hypnosis is because I believe this is part of the myth or misconception that people have. Hypnosis, very simply, it's a natural emotion. It's something in which that we experience on a day in and day out basis. And allow me to explain. When we first wake up in the morning, most of us, not all, but most of us, it takes us about a few moments as far as to gather our thoughts and come back as far as to where we're at because we were in a restful sleep. So with that, for those few moments before we decide to get out of bed and we really start to move into motion, right? Those habits to form in, that's a form of hypnosis. Another example is that have you ever noticed that when you're driving as far as to your respective place of destination, whether at work or at school or anywhere else in which that you're going, have you noticed that you literally unconsciously, without even thinking about driving, without even, knowing on when to brake or when to push the gas, knowing when to stop, knowing which turn to go, you get there unconsciously, almost like robotic like. That's another form of hypnosis. Have you ever thought about when you're watching your favorite show or your favorite movie and how you get so heavily involved in that and that during that time frame nothing else really matters but that particular show or movie, and notice on how emotional you get, whether it makes you laugh or it makes you cry or makes you think. That's a form of hypnosis. Now, that is something in which that we do on a day in and day out basis, but not too much of us really notices that. And why is so? It's because we are programmed to more so be habitual. What hypnotherapy is that it is a beautiful practice in which that us as hypnotherapists or hypnotherapist practitioners have the opportunity to work with the clients on a one-on-one or perhaps a group basis in order to help them with unresolved issues. Most times or not, many people will come to hypnotherapists because they have tried many other methods, such as traditional counseling or therapy, or even going to their doctors. In which, by the way, disclaimer: if you are seeing a doctor, if you're on a form of medication, by all means, please continue to do so until you no longer have to. I just want to put that disclaimer out there. But a hypnotherapist, it's more so we are of a counselor, a therapist, a guide, a coach, a motivator, your best friend. We're all those rolled in one. What makes us very unique and stand out versus others is that in hypnotherapy, we work with the client in which that we are given freely access by the client by using a subconscious mind. Now, it is said that our subconscious mind, it's anywhere between, and this is up for debate, anywhere between 88% or 90% that dominates our way of thinking. So the way that it works with hypnotherapy is that when a client comes to a session, depending upon of what their issues are, we then go ahead and work with them. We ask certain key clarifying questions just to really get a basis of their presenting issue. Once we have gathered all the information, we then go and we put them into what is known as a state of hypnosis or relaxful rest or deep sleep, you might have heard. That deep sleep is very important because what it does, it allows for the mind and body to coincide into one. Thus, now, as the hypnotherapist, we are able to work with 88% or 90% of the subconscious mind, which rules our most dominant thoughts. Thus, the client is fully aware of everything which is going on. So, meaning that when that individual's in a hypnotic state, if there's anything in which is being said in which that he or she does not like, at any time they can say, hey, I don't feel right, this is uncomfortable, and they can walk out of the session. Hypnotherapy is a beautiful modality. It is totally safe, and it is something that I do recommend for everyone if they haven't experienced to definitely do so. Now, I want to go ahead and cover certain myths and misconceptions about hypnosis. Some of those in which that I had, and actually I do apologize, I went a little bit over, but I do feel this is very, very important. One of the myths of hypnotherapy, and one of the things in which that I thought is that, quite frankly, I couldn't be hypnotized whatsoever. And the reality is that the majority of individuals, of human beings, can in fact be hypnotized. We go through that on a day in and day out basis, as I illustrated earlier, but we're not fully aware of that because we're so much habitual as human beings. So that's number one. The second thing, and this is another myth, is that we can convince someone to do whatever in which that we want them to do, such as like bark like a dog, or cluck like a chicken, or rob a bank, or something extreme like that. That is so far from the truth. And the reason being, as I mentioned, is because with us hypnotherapists, we work with the subconscious mind, right? Even though that's the most dominant part of the brain, but the conscious mind, which is the logic, the reasoning, the decision making, the willpower, you still have control of that. During the session, you are fully alert, even though you're in a deep, restful relaxation state or trance, in which you might have heard. However, you're fully aware of everything in which is going on. So if you are hearing something as we are going through the session, especially too when you're in a hypnotic state, and if it's something in which that you don't like or you don't feel comfortable with, that's the reason why you are alert and you're conscious in a sense, and you can then get up and decide to discontinue the session. I want to leave a misconception as well with hypnosis. Is hypnosis something which is dangerous? Absolutely not. Because of the fact that we're working as far as with the human mind, which is the strongest muscle as far as in our body, it is totally safe. And what is happening is that we're helping you to create neural pathways or new habits by providing positive suggestions. With that, it's very safe, and it is something that, as long as you are working with a hypnotherapist that is ethical and also has your best interest at heart, you should really have a great session. One of the other misconceptions is, oh, so I don't have to do anything on my own and it would just, work like magic. On the contrary, you and the therapist have to work together in tandem because, again, this is teamwork here. Even after the session is over with, your therapist, they should give you exercises and different things to use. I'm sorry, or different techniques to use after the session is over until your next session. And the reason being is because he or she wants to see the progress. They want to see if those particular techniques is working. Maybe they may have to customize or even modify the treatment program, because there is no foolproof. There is no 100% guarantee. It's more so based upon my initial conversation or the initial conversation, then the therapist create what is known as the treatment plan. Because like I mentioned, guys, we wear many different roles, wear many different hats. So ultimately the goal is as far as for the client to receive 100% of the results in which that they're looking for, right? Versus from what they currently been experiencing. So I hope that definitely helps somebody. Uh, please stay tuned for day number 2, as we're going to be uncovering, I'm sorry, day 3, excuse me, as no, I'm sorry, day 2. I had that right. As we're going to be uncovering now the conscious versus the subconscious mind. I alluded to that a little bit during this day 1, but day 2, we're going to go more in detail. I'm going to share some facts and some statistics with you as well. And then we're also going to go ahead and get into why hypnotherapy works. And we're going to go ahead and dive into a little bit of that as well. So with that being said, I thank you so much. This is day 2 of the mini series here on hypnotherapy. And hey, if you are getting value, by all means, please feel free to follow me on my social media handles. And if this is a mutual fit, would love to hear from you. Until then, take care. Thank you.